Sometimes it takes me a while to get this thing rolling. This time it took 5 minutos. So many things on my mind, as usual. First of all, let me tell you about what I did. Last night, I went to sleep at 7:30. I haven't done that since I was probably sick. Like with the flu or something. I told my wife I wasn't just tired. I wasn't just exhausted. It's like, you know how when you have the flu, which we both had once or twice in our life, and you have that type of exhaustion that is just like overwhelming. Yeah, that was the type of exhaustion I had. Overwhelming exhaustion, like the flu. But I don't have the flu. I don't have any symptoms at all. But that's what it was like. So, you will not intimidate me. I don't care if you're driving a H1 and going 45 miles an hour. I don't care. Follow too closely all you like. It doesn't look like he's following that closely. Listen, if you're at 1 car length or less behind me, you're following too closely. Especially at 45, you should be 4.5 car lengths behind me. At a minimum. It's just science, guys. It's just math. It's just math. It's just good math. Science is involved too, I guess. Some physics in there. But anyway, get the point. So yeah, I went to bed at 7:30. And I woke up. My wife went to bed around 10:30. I woke up at 3 o'clock, 3 on the dot. And I was like, no, I don't have 2 hours to kill. And then I woke up at 4:30. So from 3 to 4:30, I was like, well, would you look at that? That was almost a perfect sleep cycle. And it really was. That's why I was naturally waking up at 4:30 after waking up at 3. And when you look at your clock and try and make note of things, you'll start to see those patterns. Okay, I know how long my sleep cycle is now. Now I can be strategic about when I go to sleep and when I wake up, and it makes a big difference because I went back to sleep at 4:30 and let myself be woken up by my alarm at 5, and felt not as great. I mean, I had slept a lot, so I'm fine, but it still really does matter when you're waking up, even if it's early. If it's in between your sleep cycles, that's the ideal way and time to wake up. So just remember that. So there's that. I was thinking as I was titling this, I never know what to title these things. I will one day when I grow up and become a real boy. Oh boy. And really, grab the YouTube horns and smote it to the ground. Smoteth the YouTube bull. Because it is a lot of bull. A whole lot of bull with a whole lot of horns. If you think about it. Which kind of goes into one of the topics I do want to talk about this morning. But we'll get there. But As the Beard Groweth just sounds like an epic hipster soap opera. And I emphasize the hipster part. They would shower themselves with patchouli oil daily. And they would compare different brands of patchouli. Breeds, I don't know. Oh, is that Aztecan patchouli? Oh, man. That's got the best patchouli smell to me. Is that patchouli from the Adirondacks? Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me? That's the best. I mean, Aztecan is good, but patchouli from the Adirondacks or Adirondack, whatever, you get the point. Personally, I like Swiss patchouli, from the mountains of Switzerland. That's the patchouli I like to use. Well, you know what? I like the Greco-Roman patchouli because very few things say more hipster than the Greco-Romans. Why is that? Well, I mean, that's where there's a whole tribe of people called gypsies, but really they're not gypsies. They are hipsters in disguise. Oh, well, that actually makes a lot of sense. I never thought of it that way. So, hey, we've never met you. Where is your patchouli from? Bruh, I wear Russian patchouli. Why Russian? That sounds weird. Those guys are commies. Hipsters aren't about communism, are they? They aren't? Oh. Never mind. So this imaginary hipster soap opera called As the Beard Groweth would be just an epic montage of nothing but talking about patchouli. Maybe they could throw some other stuff in there. I don't know. The idea just occurred to me. So this is what you get. Oh, there's a little bit of wind around here. I see some trash cans knocked over. Knocked over! So there's that. It just looks wet and a couple of trash cans knocked over. I don't know. I don't think that the storm really did a lot of mischief over here in Pensacola. Here's what's weird. Recognized this the other day. I used to live in Cola, and now I live in Cola. So I met my wife in Cola, and now we live in Cola, but two different states. And I thought that was a little interesting, just a tad. So Columbia is affectionately known as Cola, South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, the capital. It's all good. If you don't know, you don't know. It's fine. But Cola, that's what they call it. Just like they call the area around DC the DMV. So anybody that lives near DC, and when they're talking about the DMV, they're not talking about the place that people want to commit suicide. They're talking about, which by the way, I went to like 5 different DMVs in DC. Okay, 3. I went to 3, but with my kids, and it was a lot. It was really rough, long waits, all that stuff. It really wasn't that bad. Really wasn't that bad. Probably has something to do with my mental stability in the first place. Maybe if you're already unhinged. That's what does it. But it wasn't that bad. I've been to a lot of different DMVs because I've done a lot of moving. Moving on. All right. So yeah, DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, DMV. It's the DMV metro area. The DMV metro. That's what they call it. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, I used to live in Cola, and now I live in Cola. Columbia to Pensacola. 2 very different sounding names, but they both have a nickname of Cola. Except sometimes they call it P-Cola here, and sometimes they just call it Pensacola if you're not a hipster. Or whatever. You don't have to be a hipster, I guess, to nickname it. I just figured I'd talk more about hipsters, because that's fun. Getting the proper amount of sleep, and sometimes a really extreme amount of sleep, which 10 hours or 9.5 hours is definitely, yeah, it's good. I haven't done that in a long time. So I was just trying to do, 6 sleep cycles and some change, basically. That's what that works out to be. Why 74? My wife, she loves it warm. But I was so exhausted, my body was like shutting down. Ugh, it's all good. We're bringing it in at 60 miles an hour. Crank it up. I don't know why crank it up. I don't know what that means. Welcome. Oh, well, yeah, welcome, Larry. Welcome, Bear Arms. And welcome, new person. And other new person. Gabe and Bear and Bear. Because that's an interesting name. By interesting, I mean, maybe I should close my eyes. But I can't do that right now. But your name kind of makes me want to close my eyes. Because I don't want to see no bear. Know what I mean? All right, so symbolism is what really popped into my head as I was walking out of the house. I was thinking about the ways that the Bible uses symbolism and why symbolism isn't necessarily evil, but iconography and icon worship and it's about your direction of worship. I think that sometimes people take the concept of an image or a symbol, and they say, well, that's evil because it is an image that has something to do with God, and that is to bring him down to our level. So any artwork or anything at all that represents God or anything about God or any concept, biblical concept or theological principle that you use a symbol for, well, that is breaking one of the 10 Commandments. No graven images. You shall have no other gods before me. Idols, all that, right? But not right. Not right. Symbols are another form of language. They're a way that we communicate. Technically, letters are symbols. When put together, form words that have meaning. And symbols, such as, let's say, a cross, they, in its form, it makes us recall the text in the Bible, in Jesus. However, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. There, believe it or not, you might not be one of them. You're probably not one of them, but there are actually people that, and some of them, some people that like wear a cross. It's a symbol to them, and it's just, hey, this is just to remind you and to remind me who's boss. Okay. But then there's some other people that like keep a cross in their pocket. They rub it with their thumb, and there's a step or a little bridge. And it is a little bridge. It's short. It's like a one step, meaning you ought to be cautious of this. But see if I can describe it adequately so you get the picture. Like that? Like what I did there? It's okay. So let's say somebody has, now if you have a rabbit's foot in your pocket, you come on now. Come on now. Let's not, I'm not defending that. There ain't no symbolism in a rabbit's foot. It's, you call it straight pagan, sure, that's fine. You call it pagan, that's accurate. But the more, not to water it down at all, because sure, it's pagan, it's not good, but a more accurate word though, while remaining the context of pagan, is just think superstitious. Does that make sense? So you need to think about that word superstitious, which is, it actually is in opposition to the supernatural. It's a really deep topic. I think that there's a lot there that could be talked about, but we'll just leave it at that. So the rabbit's foot, come on, guys, come on. No. All right, so let's say somebody has a cross, a little metal cross or whatever in their pocket, and they like rub it every now and then. Well, having a cross in your wallet or in your pocket or something like that, the moment that you look to that object to give you something is probably the moment that you've gone wrong. Now, does the mere fact of having a cross on your necklace or even a tattoo, which, you know, that's a different conversation, the tattoo thing. But because really and truly, the context of tattoos had to do with not marking your body to mourn the dead. So I can't think of any more ironic tattoo to get than a cross. Of course, he's risen, so you might think of that as a loophole, but if you're going to be as contextually accurate as possible in not getting tattoos to mourn the dead, which was the context originally of why to not get tattoos, like in memory of, all those in memory of tattoos, yeah, those are the ones that God was talking about. And if you have one, it's not like you need to like rip your arm off or something. It's like, obviously that's pretty stupid. Should you get it removed? Maybe not. That's between you and God. Should you not acknowledge the tattoo as some spiritually significant thing or supernatural thing? Well, yeah, of course. That is the point. That's the point I'm making. So, I never ate lunch yesterday or dinner because I don't eat dinner. And I actually have hunger, which is such a good feeling, guys. I don't know if you have heard me talk about this before, but it's so good to be hungry. And that can be symbolic. That can be symbolism. But it is really good to feel hungry. To know that the next time I put food in my mouth, that it's because I need it. As opposed to just something else. So anyway, very side tangent. Just make sure we're still connected. Hey, good morning, everybody. So many people on an early morning. I mean, it's 7:09 Eastern Standard, but it's 6:09 where I'm at. I got a little late start towards work. It's all good. I'm just trying to be a good employee. And anyway, let's do this. All right, so we talked about the pocket, being superstitious and all that. But what about if you have a cross in your house? Well, like that cross, every time I see it, I think about the scriptures and I think about Jesus, and it reminds me, it gives me a reminder of what he did and how important it is to be just mindful of what he did for us. And yeah, it also makes me think about he is risen. Sometimes that stuff can be confusing. It is, it's going to be different for everybody. Are there symbols that mean one thing and you get a different meaning from them? Sure, of course. You know, some symbols have inherent meaning regardless. So, anyway, and then there's the other side where somebody might stop in their house or at the church and look at the cross and start praying in front of the cross. And that's where I would say you're treading on extremely dangerous waters. Because first of all, you don't need that. You know, when Jesus taught us how to pray, he didn't say situate yourself in front of some religious icon and just have at it. No. Nope. We don't need any object to access God through prayer or any other means. That's what Jesus is for, and we can't recreate Jesus through some symbol or object. That should be obvious to you, but if it's not, there I say it, as plain as I know how. So, there you go. Quelque chose d'autre. For those of you that know French and hear me say random French phrases, I think that's funny. For those of you that don't know French and hear me say things that don't seem to make sense because they're not in English, just sometimes I'm going to say things that just aren't in English. Because I like other languages, and I sometimes do that just to kind of spark my brain to remember that I remember. Just like to remember that you remember doesn't even make any sense. Doesn't even make any sense. You know who else doesn't make much sense? This guy. I'm making 1,400 cents an hour. 1,400 cents. Oh boy. That sounds like it actually sounds when I say it in that way, it sounds like less money, funny enough. 1,400 cents, just because I look at a pile in my brain of pennies, of 1,400 pennies, and I'm like, I know exactly what that would look like. And yeah. Wow. I don't know. There he goes. Talking about the money again. You better believe it. You better believe it. Because just like I always say, it's all about the shekels. You know, one of these days somebody's going to take you serious. And they're going to, like, do something really just, like, unsubscribe or something. Yeah. What if all the people unsubscribe your channel because you're always talking about shekels? The shekels. It's a funny word. It is a funny word. You literally are obligated to admit that that is a funny word. You don't have to admit that at all. Don't admit that. Don't do anything that I say. Oh, now you're telling me not to do what you say when I was going to say that I'm not gonna do what you say, but now you're telling me not to do what you say, so I'm not gonna do what you say to not to do. So I'm gonna do exactly what you said to say to do. I'm sorry, was that part of your rap there, Gospel Bear? No, but I might incorporate that in there. Oh boy. It was on the verge of rap, right? And you know who could have done some epic rap? Abbott and Costello. Yeah? Huh? What do you think? Maybe? As the beard groweth. I put patchouli oil in my beard this morning. I think I've gotten at least a 1/4 inch. So, what kind of oil do you put in your beard? Dude, what oil can you put in your beard besides patchouli? I mean, it was a rhetorical question, but yeah, exactly. I mean, but like, you know what I meant? Like, what kind of patchouli? Well, the only kind, patchouli from like the Middle East, bro. Oh, the Middle East? That's awkward, man. What part of the Middle East? I don't know, man. I live under a rock. So Saudi Arabian patchouli? They have that there? I don't know, man. It was Turkish. It was Turkish patchouli. Oh yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of hipsters in Turkey. But Saudi Arabia, I don't think there's very many hipsters there. Yeah, but there's a lot of beards, bro. There's a lot of beards. So like it was plausible. Yeah, but you said it was actually from Turkey. So what was the whole you live under a rock thing? That's not even really a funny joke. I don't know, man. I just say stuff sometimes. All right, good talk, bro. Good talk. I'm gonna go read patchouli my beard. That is more quality television than anything that exists right now. I could write that entire television show, episode after episode, of little encounters like that, all about patchouli, all about beards, and everybody. No, maybe nobody would watch it. That doesn't matter. It doesn't stop the fact from being there. That would be more quality television than pretty much anything that happens on television. Well, how would you know? You haven't had cable in like a decade. I've seen some shows. I know a little bit about the TVs. When I've been in a motel, I've seen TV. When I've been at friends' houses, which doesn't happen but once or twice a year, I've seen some television. When I've been at a home, and by home I mean my familial home, my parents. When I'm visiting family, yeah. So don't tell me I haven't seen no TV. And guess what? It's 94.73% horrible garbage that you should probably actually rip your eyeballs out for. And probably your brain, because that's, probably your brain too. And maybe some other organs, just because the level of impact of the garbage that some people watch, it goes far and wide. It infiltrates you like the rage virus from 28 Days Later. That's how horrifically contagious and pervasive the filth on cable television is. So when you criticize me for being really lame, coming up with "As the Beard Groweth," a patchouli story. That's the subtitle. That's great. A patchouli story. As the beard groweth. A patchouli story. Guys, it's epic. And someday that probably will exist, and I'll get no credit at all, no royalties at all. I'll be like, yeah, look at this YouTube video. What YouTube video? This one. This. What'd you do? Yeah. Whatever exists we say exists, stuff like that stuff. We write history. You didn't come up with no patchouli story as the beard growth. That's our idea. They'd be like, ah, I see. So you're a Gamoran, huh? Be like, what's a Gamoran? Be like, that's okay. It's okay. There's a place for you guys. Yeah, place with lots of numbers in our bank account. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lots of numbers. Lots of numbers. But you're not making any sense right now. Did I ask you for me to make sense? Did I ask for your permission for me to make sense? Because maybe I should. Should I ask for your permission so that I can start making sense? Because I was under the impression you didn't want me to make sense. That literally makes no sense at all. Do you think you're funny? Because you're not. I don't think that I'm funny. I just like being a little tangential and a little free associative. That's not a word. It could be. Associative is a word. The associative, it's in math. It's that associative principle where you take the numbers and you switch them around. It's something like that. I remember it a little bit. There's like the dissociative principle, the associative principle, the something replacement principle, the I'm inside of inception principle. There's a lot of mathematical principles, and there's always a principal at the school that you're learning principles in. Dude, I don't know if I don't know if I like you getting a whole lot of sleep. I do feel pretty good, guys. I do feel pretty good. I even had the opportunity to just skip the working extra hours. You know, it's voluntary. Just be like, nope, just coming in on time, guys, and I'm leaving on time. You're such a jerk. You're not having to. It's just if we don't work the overtime because of just the amount of load of work that we have, well, there will be horrific consequences, and they'll probably fire us just for lack of team spirit or something. But seriously, this road is so silly. It's 45 down to a 35, but the 35 is only for like 1,000 feet. So it's like, okay, I'll go 35. It's like I'm not traveling at all. But we'll just go there. When I'm going 35 on a 4-lane road, I feel like I'm breaking the law. But it's like, oh no, somebody's going to careen into the back of my car. Is careen a word? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Is that where that came from? Did he get in a bad car wreck and came careening around the corner? Is it an N? I believe it's an N. So maybe it has nothing to do with good old Kareem Abdul-Jabari. Jabari would have made that dude way. See, that's what his grandson's name probably would be. Yeah, he's that old. He could have a grandson right now. Of course he could. But wouldn't that be funny if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's child or grandchild would be named Jabari? Jabari is a super legit name. Are you being serious right now? Because I can't tell. I'm being serious. That's why I think Demetrion, and listen, guys, I have encountered some fantastically interesting names. Demetrion doesn't even begin the adventure of different names that I have heard. I'm like, where did that come from? How did your parent think that up? That was intense. Darmetrion. It's just, I mean, Jake Quellen from the substitute teacher thing, Key and Pill. Yeah, that's like normal, but instead of somebody being named like the word precious, they'll be named like Preciasia, and be like, oh, okay. Or like Dontaquasia. Dontaquasia? Where does that come from? I don't know where that comes from, but somebody thought it up. So I'm just like, some of these names are super epic. It is what it is. It is what it is, yo. What it is, yo. What's up? Come on. I lived through the 90s. I lived through the 80s, the 90s. I've heard a lot of music, and every now and then that catchy tune hits my brain. It wasn't a good song, wasn't good lyrics. Sometimes those catchy songs, they just pop out every now and then. I'm still growing up, guys. Still growing up. It takes time. It takes time, and one day I will be perfect, and that's when I die. No, I do not believe in Christian perfectionism. But when I die, that's when I get the brand new body and all that good stuff. And I won't cry anymore. So that's what it says in the Bible. I'm not joking about that. I just think it's funny. Because I cry all of the time. Only when I read the Jesus Storybook Bible. I kid, guys. I kid. I do tear up from time to time. There are things that are emotionally moving in a good way. All right, what's going on? 5 people. Y'all came to hang out. You listened to As the Beard Groweth, one of the greatest television shows to never exist. Yeah, so let's check these comments out, and then I got to go to work. Not too many comments. That's good. The spotless lamb. Okay. Being a glutton. Something about lamb and glutton, mutton. Maybe mutton. Is that why I'm thinking of glutton has something to do with lamb, because the word mutton? Is that what's happening in my brain? I don't know. Yeah, fasting is good for your faith. But I would like to hear serpent on a pole. Oh, you're talking about the dollar bill sign? The serpent on the dollar, or the serpent on the pole, as is the dollar bill. The symbol for cash. That's, yeah, we could talk about that sometime. Depends on. I do talk about the shekel frequently. Hey, JM Zach, welcome. Yeah, well, but that's, see, it was or, not and. What I mean is his staff turned into a serpent. So to put the serpent on the pole is kind of, I mean, that's some distorted symbology, symbolism. I think that's not right. But then again, I'm very literal, so yeah, you get the point. God does what he wants. Yeah. Okay. Comment the scripture. It's just vague. So, when you're deep diving in a specific part of the Bible, sometimes those things can fade. So, remind me of the scripture references in the comments, and I'll check it out. But it is interesting, the dollar sign being related to that, potentially. It's very interesting. Y'all have a great day. Read your Bibles, and make sure to not forget to put patchouli oil in your beard. And if you don't have a beard because you're just beardless for whatever reason, may God have mercy on your soul, or something. And also, just put patchouli oil in your hair. You could do that. That'll be fine. Everything is fine. But you got to put patchouli oil somewhere. Do I have patchouli oil? No, but I wish I did. So I could be just as cool as the other hipsters. I really am missing out. Have a good life. Have a good life. Only if you are getting it. That's how you have a good life, is by getting it. Read your Bible. Ask God for help. Trust in Him. And put patchouli oil everywhere. Literally everywhere. Patchouli.